WrestleMania 4 is one of the most unique nights in wrestling history. One night, 16 matches, and the crowning of Randy Savage. But as for historic as it was, the fans today and even back then mostly talked about how long and exhausting it felt, fitting 16 matches into barely 4 hours of runtime. Today we're taking a closer look at a WrestleMania that just wouldn't end. The story of WrestleMania 4 was all about crowning the new WWF Champion. After Andre the Giant would win the belt over from Hulk Hogan, he would hand it over to Ted DiBiase, and the WWF would proclaim it vacant. To settle it once and for all, a tournament would be held at WrestleMania 4 to declare the new WWF Champion. There was also a B-plot of Bob Uecker chasing around Vanna White the whole night, but we won't get too far into that because there's already too much to talk about. And on that topic, I'm probably not going to go too far into any of these matches because there's 16 of them, and if I went too far into all of them, this video would last 3 hours. So instead, I'm just gonna go through all the non-important matches pretty quickly, and some of the bigger ones I'll bite into a little bit more. Starting us off, we would have the 20-man Battle Royal, and most of the guys would be eliminated pretty quickly. In the end, we would have only 3 guys left standing: Bret the Hitman Hart, Junkyard Dog, and Bad News. Bret Hart and Bad News would team up to take out the Junkyard Dog, after which Bad News would turn on Bret Hart and win the match. Bret Hart would then climb back into the ring, he would break apart the trophy, but that's where the match ended. Next up, we would have the round of 16 of the WWF Championship Tournament. Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan would get a pass through the round of 16 because they are the 2 guys who fought the belt last. Meaning that our first match was Jim Duggan versus Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase would come out with Virgil and Andre the Giant by his side, and Andre the Giant would intervene, helping Ted DiBiase win. Dino Bravo versus The Rock would be the next match. Not The Rock you're thinking of, not Dwayne, this would be Don Morocco, and he would win the match by Dino Bravo accidentally hitting the ref, getting himself disqualified. Next match would be the first good match on this card, which would be the matchup between Greg Valentine and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And look, Ricky Steamboat never misses. He hasn't had a single bad match in all the 4 WrestleManias I've watched up until now. Ricky would also enter the ring with his baby, which was a really cute, really beautiful moment, but he would lose. He would put his hand on the official, and he still wouldn't get DQ'd, but Greg Valentine would roll him up. But it's just funny to me, looking back at this WrestleMania and all of the previous WrestleManias, just how non-existent the rules actually are. Sometimes you follow them, sometimes you don't. For example, in the last match, as I said, Dino Bravo accidentally hit the ref. In this match, Ricky Steamboat, like on purpose, pushed the ref off. No DQ, nothing. Again, he would still go on to lose the match, but that's just kind of funny to me, and there's more examples coming up later on. Next match would be Butch Reed versus Randy Savage. Randy Savage would hit a flying elbow and the Macho Man wins. Next match was One Man Gang versus Bam Bam Bigelow, and Bam Bam Bigelow would get counted out about 5 seconds after he got back into the ring. And also the ref was still counting him while he was on the ropes, on the outside of the ropes of course, but the guy from the inside was hitting him. Remember that? That's gonna come really in handy later on when you figure out that that's not a consistent rule. Not at all. Jake Roberts versus Rick Rude would be our next matchup, and this would be the worst matchup of the night. I could even hear the crowd chanting boring. That's not a common theme in these early WrestleManias. There's not too many chants. Like, the only chants I could hear were actually both in this match. One of them was DDT and the other one was boring. That's it. Then look, this match was just a boring 15-minute draw, meaning that neither guy gets to fight in the next round and one person will get a pass. For our intermission match before the quarterfinals, we would have Hercules versus the Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior's debut on WrestleMania, and this goes just about as any other Ultimate Warrior match. It's quick, he gets blown out before even starting the match because of his entrance, and he would get pinned technically, but he would get his shoulder up so the referee would reverse his decision and award him with the victory. Starting off our quarterfinals, we would have Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. And this match just isn't the spectacle it was a year before, so the fact that it isn't a great match really came to the forefront, because this match, it's bad, it's really bad, and Hogan would hit Andre with a chair. He would hit him first, and referee would see all of it, but it still somehow ended in a double DQ. Just another really stupid decision that I just couldn't believe. Ted DiBiase versus Don Morocco would be our next matchup, and Ted DiBiase would counter him into a ropes clothesline, and 1, 2, 3, the $1 Million Man goes through. Randy Savage versus Greg Valentine would be our next matchup, and Savage would reverse the figure 4 into a small package and he would win. For the IC Championship, we would get Honky Tonk Man versus Brutus Beefcake, and Honky Tonk Man would get himself disqualified. Brutus would win, but he wouldn't get the belt, because you only get the belt via pinfall or submission. The Islanders and Bobby Heenan versus the British Bulldogs and Coco Beware would be our final intermission match of this portion, and Heenan would wrestle in this. I honestly have no idea what this is. I'm not sure on which side it is, so I'm gonna keep looking on both sides. I'm not sure what this even is. Is this supposed to be some kind of straitjacket or something? I have no clue, but he would actually win. He would pin Coco Beware by the Islanders, splashing Bobby Heenan on top of Mr. Beware, and 1, 2, 3. He somehow wins. In the semifinals, Ted DiBiase would get a bye because, well, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant were both disqualified, meaning neither of them went through. And this was all part of his master plan. He didn't care if Andre the Giant won or lost, he just didn't want Hogan to win. And that's it, and that's what happened. Randy Savage versus One Man Gang would be the next match, and One Man Gang would hit Macho Man with a cane and he would get himself disqualified, meaning that our final match is Ted the $1 Million Man DiBiase versus Randy Macho Man Savage. Can't wait to see who wins. But before we get to see that, we had another intermission match, which was for the Tag Team Championships. It would be the match between Demolition and the Strike Force. And it was actually a pretty good match. I love these early tag team matches because the tag teams were really good. And Demolition would win after some Mr. Fuji shenanigans. And then we would get to our grand finale. Macho Man versus Ted DiBiase, and this was actually a great match. Ted DiBiase is much better in the ring than I remember him being from watching some old tapes back in the day. He's actually pretty good. And Elizabeth would at one point run off to get Hogan and make him keep watch of Andre because Andre would keep interfering in this match, and he would actually help. He would also help Randy win by hitting the $1 Million Man in the back with a chair, allowing Randy to hit a flying elbow. And there we have it, the new WWF Champion, Randy Savage. And this was a huge moment, the crowd loved it, it was a really good match, the crowd were on their feet, Randy Savage deserved this and everyone knew he did, so this was a really nice crowning moment for him. And even though this show did end on a high, it doesn't even come close to WrestleMania 3, and if you want to watch me review that, make sure to click right here.